Welcome everybody to Mud Flood with Armageddon. I was setting up my speakers and now I'm live. I'm gonna go ahead and check my speakers and make sure they seem to be working. I think I gotta straighten that out. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't get to start the show early very often. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. All right. So now I can go ahead and show the thing. There's that. Here's some. Here's what I got going after I did the. I did 4 videos. I do those shorts. Look at this weird thing, man. It says airplane diverted. I don't know if I left this video up, but I might. It says it hit something, and they play a real. No, we hit something. I'm turning back. I just couldn't believe it. First I heard of it. Just a reminder, we're going to look a little bit of water today. Why isn't that water flowing over the side? You've seen it. Some of you intentionally put ice in water. Then you go, I got a full cup now. Wow. It takes 2,000 tons of water for 2 ounces of heavy water, D2O, deuterium oxide. And they need a lot of it for steam. It makes the best steam. And I didn't realize how new the center pivot was for agriculture. I didn't realize Tesla and the guy that ended up, we'll look him up. Faraday, I'm not sure which one that is, but Tesla, they're the ones that did these wave frequencies, waveforms, electromagnetics. We're going to look at the way this guy does math and how many triangles, how many do you see? The Ogham, this is up because I was explaining to somebody the eunuch epoch of when they're going to, they're going to be living underground after the cities go away. They probably won't have to come up and hunt us until 2038 when the eunuchs epoch it breaks their computers because they used Ogham, some sort of what they thought was Celtic, the Irish tree alphabet, and they said they did it wrong. I took this picture because it's from the Native Americans, and I just always amazed at the quality of their work. Even though I found out now that these guys were cannibals, they still, they were getting it done. I think I've got some of these beads somewhere. That's it? Nope. Here's what it is. Sherry from No Place Like Home. She's done tiptoeing around. She is madder than a wet hen. She's mad. So I made a thumbnail. I hope it's not too offensive. But in my world, it's been wrong for too long. And now, oh, I'm so mad. I'm not going to teach it anymore. She was teaching it wrong from the very beginning. I have it queued up where she, I think, has the unmitigated gall to say, I was one of the first people to start teaching the short season. No way, shape, or form was that happening. Oh, aloha. No way. I think it's a lie, and I think it's an exaggeration. She says earlier, she had a pretty good home schooling thing. It's gone now because she went little season. I put down her videos. These are her most popular videos. Almost 200,000, almost 200, 180, 160, 154. And it's all when she got short season around 5 years ago, 4 years ago, got some big ones. And 3 years ago, she got into preterism, totally messed up everything, no coherent connection, arguing with the clown guy and JT, didn't want to do shows with them anymore, always wanted to be the woman teacher. I'm saying it. 2 years ago, 31,000. If we just go to her, the videos where it says latest videos, it's about 1,800 with 80,000 subscribers. And she's wondering why, oh, I better bring up Little Season again. This will probably be one of her bigger videos in a while. Maybe it'll get more than 4,000.
I know all about the Little Season. I was one of the first channels who was talking about the Little Season, and I deeply, deeply regret that now. And the reason that I have this image up is because I liken it to, if you've ever known anyone who overcame an addiction or who overcame a really bad habit, you will find that very often
she's comparing you, I guess, of like there's only one verse that teaches short season, and now she's so happy she ditched it.
is why, because I have better clarity now, that I've been able to kind of funnel my I don't know how to put this. I don't want to say my conspiracy minded way of thinking, because we all know that there are a lot of quote conspiracy theories that have come true. All right. I don't think that, okay, yeah, lots of people probably would deny that. I would never deny that though. But what I will say is that not even close.
Look, let me point out something to you here. The short season theology is something the Lord gave me to start in my mind in 2015. Early 2016, I started Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past and started teaching the Stones Were Crying Out, the Revelation 20 things. She doesn't know that because people don't want to know that history. They always want to. It's like they said in that movie, they glom onto something and they find a way to make money off of it. A lot of people have done it. She didn't discover it. It was the Lord used this ministry, and we never tried to make any money off of this. She still is. And she's the one that didn't understand. Stop calling it preterism. She did more harm with her and Clown Guy at the same time of misunderstanding every single step. They took the wrong way.
Theory, because it gave me a lot of freedom to do that. Any way that my brain churned, I could just throw it into the Little Season and say it's because we've been deceived. I think that more often than not, it's our mind deceiving us. So another thing that I would do is I would just call it disinformation.
It's because others kept calling it post-millennialism. They never called it pretomillennialism. I kept telling them post-millennialism and preterism already have adherents. There's a term for that. And it is they're waiting on the millennium, thinking that when they convert the whole world to Jesus, then he'll come back. It's not what we believe in, that the millennium is over and Satan is loosed, as it is clear throughout the entire New Testament. False advertising in every way, shape, and form. No, I am tired of tiptoeing around a girl who wants to be a woman preacher and not once listened, not only to any men, any women, as far as I know.
People in the comments saying, "Oh, you got your $7,000 payment." So I know that that's
I think if she had, and here's another thing, I will say right now, I doubt this. I think if she had an email of saying, "You're a big shill, we don't trust you anymore," and a bunch of, we know a lot of the short seasoners, you think they're turning on her going like, "How dare you do it? How dare you leave us? Come back, Shelley." No, I doubt it. I think it's a massive embellishment or an outright lie. So that, oh, short seasoners are giving her threats and telling her she's a shill. Maybe, but they're not. If she had something where they said, "Oh, and you're one of those Zionists taking money," I doubt it. I think it's just hype to, oh, I need hits because I can't ever get 2,000 views in the last couple of months because I've danced everywhere around every topic, destroying every term and never wanting to stick with it. And always falling back on, "You're picking on me because I'm a handicapped woman."
what it's related to. And someone actually said to me on my channel that that's why I stopped believing in Little Seasonism, because I must have gotten that $7,000 payment too. And let me just tell you that that right there was a red flag that they have never watched anything on my channel, because I am not a Zionist and I have actually made several videos against it. But this is what happens if you disagree with them. Not all of them, some of them are great, but there are those on the fringe, okay? But I'm seeing that it's happening more and more often.
It sounds like she's still tiptoeing a lot. Who? Who are they on the fringe that are insulting you? Who accused you of taking $7,000, Miss? I'm not tiptoeing around anymore. You're tiptoeing around looking for sympathy.
And they will make all of these accusations. And that, you know, what's really troubling is that this is supposedly coming from people who are Christians.
Right. And you are supposed to be a Christian, except you flip flop all over the place. You've never debated anybody. You've had people on when they completely agree with you, but you don't take questions. You don't take doctrine serious. You're all over the place. No, it's you.
They call themselves Christians, yet this is their behavior towards other believers.
Other people who, I doubt you're a believer. You're not believing the same thing the Bible teaches in any way, shape, or form. Not the way you just pick here, there, and if anybody disagrees with you, how dare they? Oh, who's a puppet?
In order to do this. And no one has threatened me. I have opened my Bible and read it, and instead of focusing just on Revelation 20, I'm focusing on the whole thing, which is what every Christian should do. I have learned so much. And then, of course, I will have other people who say they are Christians who will tell me, "You are doing this for the money." Let me just tell you, if I were doing this for the money, I would still be in Little Seasonism, because honestly, my revenue was about 4 times as much as it is now. It was never about revenue for me. It was about the truth.
It actually looked like it was about 12 times as much. We were saying 100,000 views as opposed to 1,800. It seems to be about what you get. So it was a lot more than 4 times.
Okay. So that whole idea is it's completely ludicrous. Now you might be wondering, why I keep showing this. This was actually one of my older videos when I was still believing in little seasonism. This was right before I finally realized that I was going too far. And
And anytime, anybody that will leave a comment or a thumbs down, if you want to debate, I'm right here every day, sometimes twice a day. And I'm ready to debate this at any time for any question. If you have a question right now, like I still remember the day when people said, well, what about the great falling away? That didn't happen. And the Lord almost instantly put it in my mind that, well, what about Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 15, where it says, all of Asia departed me. And the letters to Revelation were written to churches in Asia. That's a big deal that people like to ignore. But all of the ammo we have, I feel the Lord has brought it because of the truth of flat earth nation, golden age past, and the fact that America's not the good guys. I found Shelley's page because I was trying to warn her, look, I'm happy you're homeschooling. Don't teach that a manifest destiny of America was great and we were destined to rule, because that's the lie. That's it. Any questions on that part, put them in. This is just a regular, hey, what do you got for me tonight, Paco? You're not going to believe this. Look at how disastrous. This dam was built in 1905. It failed in 1950. They never fixed it.
A sediment retention dam built above the town in the 1950s was destroyed by floods that same decade. By 1999, the canyon stood with no working defense at all. November 1999. It rains. Then it rains more, every day for weeks. The slopes of the Avila Range carry thin soil over solid granite bedrock. Think of a kitchen sponge sitting on a tile floor. At first, it drinks. Then it cannot hold another drop. After that, every new gallon runs straight off the surface. By mid-December, the sponge was full. Over 52 hours, more than 35 inches fell near the epicenter. More than the normal yearly rainfall for this coast, compressed into 2 days. Water raced down slopes steeper than 30 degrees. Thin soil slid off bedrock. Small failures fed channels. Channels fed the main canyon. In the neighboring canyon of Cerro Grande, a man named Ramon Diaz climbed onto the roof of his house with 17 others. By the night of the 15th, thousands of
only Ramon and one other person made it. Unfortunately, his wife and child died.
shallow landslides were funneling into the same canyons. Witnesses in upper neighborhoods
This
described
is all
a continuous
CGI.
low rumble from the mountain. The rivers themselves began to thicken. December 15th was also referendum day in Venezuela.
Oh, man.
For days, but no coordinated evacuation of the debris fans took place. When rescue teams tried to use a nearby schoolhouse as a forward command post, what hit Carmen de Uria did not behave like water at all. As saturated soil crashed into the stream, the balconies, the first 3 floors are gone. Not damaged, not flooded, gone. Where they used to be, crushed concrete, compacted mud, and a boulder the size of a bus. This is what Vargas looked like after the mountain came down. A few miles east, in Carmen de Uria, even this would have looked like survival. The mountain did not collapse into the town. It reclaimed the ground the town was built on. Top 6. In nearby neighborhoods, survivors climbed from the first floor to the 3rd in 30 seconds, while mud swallowed their living rooms. The survival rule of Vargas,
Unbelievable.
Ramon Diaz, was still alive. Just before the impact, he had noticed something in the river below, a thin film of fine sand riding on the surface of the water. The first sign that the flow was changing. The flow still reached him. It dragged him miles downstream in total darkness, stone hammering him continuously. When rescuers found him at dawn, he was alive, beaten raw, and completely naked. The flow had stripped the clothing from his body like sandpaper. Of the 18 people, powerful source. On December 29th, 2 weeks after the disaster, George Weber of the International Red Cross.
These guys did it.
Much information and data just embedded in a simple triangle. So I just wanted you to appreciate that. And so let's have a look at where did I actually find this diagram? So just if you do a search on the internet, I was researching Tesla. So you can see that I've got this big diagram there, but I actually found it as a little icon on a whole sheet based on Tesla's research with volts per second, right? And then here, that's Tesla over here.
But you know that, they're teaching the star kids and the keen teens. They're not teaching them Jesus. They're teaching them Jainism. I see a Bible 1828 with the looks like the Star of Rimfam. But there's so much that we could be teaching our children instead of saying, I got to drop you off. Let me know if anybody molests you.
Go 9 centimeters. So this would also be, each partition here is 9 centimeters, 9 centimeters. So I've got a good triangle. It's root 3 on lines, just so that you can appreciate the straight line. So now, and straight away you can start seeing a pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see we've actually got the sequence on 8-year-olds to get them counting and to realize that there is structure and that the equilateral triangles are very stable shape. But what's surprising is that there's another sequence. So we know here is 1, but here on the second row, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're adding up all the successive triangles above that horizontal row. So now we've got 4, which we say 2 squared, or the same as 2 by 2. Now we're going to look at the third row here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
How many?
4 squared numbers, which is really interesting. But just as like a puzzle now, the third component or observation is how many hexagons are in this. So I'll highlight the first hexagon. So we know that this is called a 1 frequency hexagon here. So I'm going to put a circle here. How's that? I'll just say there's 6 vectors or radii that meet the center. So we're looking at this one here, and you can realize that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and there's more. You can see there's a hexagon here. So we've got 16. I'm just highlighting the nodal points, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we can actually see, if you can see all these nodal points, this is actually another so this is actually a triangle number because
There's one more.
Plus the 3, plus the... But that's not the answer. My original question, was how many hexagons are in this 8 frequency hexagon? 1.
Show them.
And from there.
There you go.
Excuse me.
So fun with numbers. We can teach our kids so much.
Right through the details of the sculpture. These temples are in the Karnataka region of India, and they don't really make a lot of sense. Because today we would use something like this fiber laser to do that. It is a very high-powered beam of light that is used for cutting and engraving rocks, pretty much stripping the atoms from the material. The result is something similar to what we see in a 900-year-old temple. And if we're covering one head to toe in these carvings, then we would probably use something like a carving robot at scale. Because to understand how they did it, we have to understand why they wanted to do it in the first place. Because Hindu temples are unique in the temple ecosystem. These were not places of congregation like cathedrals. In the spiritual sense, cathedrals are more like a spaceship for your consciousness, where a higher form of perception is manipulated using light and sound. Fun fact, they're designed upside down.
Isn't it funny how everybody but Christians know about this?
This way, gravity calculates the strongest angles. Since Hindu temples have a lot of space inside, they can be designed from the ground up, starting with the Naman. It's a fractal geometric procedure that can be used to calculate perfect east-west alignment. You can think of a Hindu temple more like a bridge between space and time. The alignment sets the frequency of the temple in time. That'll be important later. In space, Vastu Mandala sets the fractal pattern in space. Vedic architecture treats the temple as a literal being. It's a channel that entity
Wow.
can move through.
Huh. You guys got to get these guys there. They live at, that's like, what is that? It's like 12,500 feet. That's like hard to breathe. This is the king and queen of alpacas now that, remember about 30 years ago, it was going to be a big thing. Everybody wanted alpaca. Well, there's the alpaca cartel, and they're giving them steroids. And this kind of led me to thinking, I even called RJ. I was going to say, what's up with this? So I should go ahead, as I started by mistake, I'll read what I wrote as I would normally start the show. Rain might have an answer to a question yet to be asked. Center pivot verse canal connected world, canals around star forts. That first rain, was it really only after 6 days? That first rain was after the water had already been divided. Rain did not melt mountains. That was the fervent heat of Armageddon. I did not invent or perfect the comma. I do not blame my mama, not ashamed of my papa, still thrilled to be an adopted, non-orphaned son in the family of God, the Spirit God, water divider and provider, supplier of a promised living water. It felt like I figured it out myself, but I know God led the way to Flat Earth Nation Golden Age past. Now, it's a lie you were left to your own devices. It is why I more than try to choose my words precisely. Christ Jesus is the Spirit God. He alone is why I wake up, jump down, turn around, and pick a bale of cotton. We may be, so to speak, on or in the same boat. Some names are written in the book of the life that will be blotted out. That's not what I want. That has eternal consequences that remain unappealing to me and others. Our scripture has been called a long, hard, complicated book. It is that. But also, it is the only God-endorsed source. Why would Egyptians think shepherds, herders are an abomination? That's what I was calling RJ. And if you guys have any ideas, I'd like to know. It seems so strong. Was it their culture? They wanted all the fineries. They had the magic. Moses learned it, just said, you know what? It's forbidden. No thanks. They didn't like shepherds. They didn't like these guys that are just trying to make a buck off of alpaca because for some reason that's what they've been doing for a couple of 100 years since Satan's been loosed and people let them alone for a while. King and queen of Alpacaville.
They have been together 25 years. It's not obvious from their modest home that they are among the most successful alpaca breeders. The sun has just come up. The thick, cold morning fog lifts only slowly. The alpacas hum steadily in a collection. This is my livelihood. I can feed my family and myself with my little farm and the animals. That's why I do it. We live from it. We use the alpaca's wool to knit sweaters and blankets. They protect us from the cold. And
You have no idea how cold it can be here. This must be the middle of summer.
It needs to be fairly uniform brown. But there are alpacas that have shades of color. People are taught at the university that when alpacas are mottled, they are unusable and worthless and should be slaughtered. But the mottled alpacas are the ones with the strong immune systems. As the doctor says, the mottled alpacas, the cheches, the tulumpas and palomas are the more resistant animals.
You know what? In a few years, we're going to have to do like these girls and say, we got to quit selling the alpaca wool to the alpaca cartels for 15 cents a pound and learn how to knit this stuff ourselves because we might need to stay warm.
The cooperative is based on the further processing of the wool and the fiber and on protection of biodiversity to generate income for the community. But we have an even bigger dream, to improve the alpaqueros' circumstances to the extent that even the young people want to stay here. We work with a group of women. We give the women work so they can have their own income. Did you buy this fiber? And where?
from Cooley.
De coolies, o sea, es de tu alpaca.
From your alpaca?
Yes.
Here's something. Look at. Oh, wait. That's the. After the right-wing conservative Christian government took over in Escape from Los Angeles, I thought the girl henchman was blonde like that.
Come out to Pyro and make everything about herself after her husband or the character of her husband was unalived. And something else I wanted to get into in today's show is Donald Trump is once again talking about UFOs and UFO disclosure. And it's quite obvious where all of this is heading. It's quite obvious that they are clearly setting the stage for Project Bluebeam. And I believe that the missing scientist stuff, I believe all of this stuff is going to tie into this.
Huh. Eric Kirk's mad. Listen to her.
And I said to her, you know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you were able to put aside all of your differences.
If this was the Hunger Games, you can't see her being the one that said, you know, I changed my mind.
Joseph Lippincott.
Who?
Mulholland was the engineer. After arriving to LA from Ireland, he helped to transform.
This is all fake hidden history. These might be real men, but it was propped up by Satan, Freemasons, Rosicrucian, John Birch Society to get these guys in position, get the snapshot, picture by somewhere near water to explain away what happened in, you know, San Francisco, the gift that keeps giving, Chicago, the World Expos. It's all faked. It's that Tesla. It's the numbers. Those are real.
Its fickle water system, which gained him wide trust and support. He had redesigned the entire pipe system for the city and strangely had never written any of it down.
Well, that it was as a matter of fact, I can't think of anything more strange. He designed the whole water system, but he didn't write it down. Let's make sure we heard that.
Mulholland was the engineer. After arriving to LA from Ireland, he helped to transform its fickle water system, which gained him wide trust and support. He had redesigned the entire pipe system for the city and strangely had never written any of it down. It was supposedly just all in his head. So in 1902, when the city's water system switched from being privately run to being run by the city, Mulholland was the only person that understood the entire system, and naturally was appointed as head of the Los Angeles.
Doesn't it seem suspicious? It does to me. Look at that. And then they killed all the Native Americans for that fake. It's always been about the water. The gold rush was
happened would keep the water in the valley for the farmers. However, Lippincott had long been living in LA, and he was friends with the former mayor, Fred Eaton, who had recently hired him as a consultant for the city. So when Eaton learned about Lippincott's survey and the viability of water in the valley, he saw an opportunity. If the reclamation...
So everybody admits there's some scandals. What do you got, dude?
Conducted a very powerful campaign, information, you might say propaganda campaign, to convince Los Angeles residents that their city was doomed.
Their city would have been doomed. They had to do something. When they want to rebuild and supply the water, because Satan knows he only has to make it another 20 years, and they're going underground pretty soon, probably not coming back above ground until 2038 when their computers crash and they realize, you said we could fix it. Stop it. This is kind of interesting.
The opening ceremony was right here. This is where the gates were opened for the water to start rushing into the valley.
But it wasn't flowing into the taps and tubs of Los Angeles residents. It flowed onto land owned by big businessmen who made a killing.
While Eaton was buying up land in Owens Valley, these businessmen with inside information were buying up land in the San Fernando Valley. Land that was now...
Wow. And you know, even now they're betting on going to war. They're doing the insider trading. They're making hundreds of millions now. The same equivalent, 1918. Nothing's changed. Just we're just, I think, dumber.
A huge force behind most of the annexations during Mulholland's career.
After 1915, the city's population doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled.
Because that's where Satan's throne is, and they were going to make the headquarters for the propaganda. It's close to New Mexico, all the tunnels, the Zorro Ranch. That's why I'm here in Alamosa instead of Montrose, or on the other side of the Rockies, and ended up here. Lord has worked in mysterious ways, thus he will continue.
Examine cracks in the dam that workers had noticed. He walked across it and declared that it was safe. And that night, almost at midnight, electricity in the city flickered.
They don't care.
All of this water rushed out to sea and in its wake killed over 430 people.
That's a little over dramatic music.
As the current goes through the balls, they create the fractal vein-like patterns that you see.
Those are metal balls.
Particularly. So where's the electricity coming from? Well, in 2018, they did a study on this guy. It showed how it can convert radio waves into electromagnetic ones. These two are made of the same stuff, limestone. But there's much more to it than that. If you haven't seen the first two videos, we're going to recap real quick. In the first one, we saw how Chichen Itza converts a sine wave to a square wave. This is vitally important for biology, acting as the master switch for cell division. To prove this, I took the sound the pyramid makes when you clap in front of it and recreated it using a synthesizer. As it converts, it pitches up the same number of steps that are in the pyramid. When you match the frequency to the cymatic pattern, you get the architecture of El Castillo. Now, here's where it gets good. So we know it's resonant. We know it may have an influence on soil conductivity. So where's the variety coming from?
Yeah.
In the most biodiverse region on Earth.
Oh, wait. I hope that We have some pyramids in the United States. I've visited some of them. I think there's probably more, but they know about 200 and they're all built to different frequencies. That seems weird.
It's just one design out of hundreds. I had to update the map with about 200 more sites in Hidden History, which is live now, just to show how many are actually in this area alone. Each of them has a specific design and a specific resonance. Now, historically, we usually break the area up into cultures instead of looking at it as a unified whole. Over time, the entire area was terraformed by all of them.
Did you hear that? Because we've all talked and heard, if you're in this long enough, about the black dirt that they make. They made the rainforest soil. That's why everybody was, the terraces fed everybody. They were so happy, so very happy.
Remove the dense vegetation of the Amazon, you see the same pyramid architecture as Mexico. The Amazon rainforest is almost entirely man-made, and if you watch this video, I showed you how they did it with a very special type of regenerative soil. We are just now discovering how big this project actually was using LiDAR. Essentially, if you're gardening the Amazon, you find some very useful plants, and then you bring them to a place like Marais, where you can control the evolution and then optimize those plants to grow in places like... If we say these places are purely ritualistic, we're insulting the ancient scientists who gave us the agriculture that we still use today.
What's
The problem
that?
is most people
Potatoes,
just take
corn,
the word of a
squash,
couple European dudes who had
beans.
no idea about this science and just wanted to colonize the entire
Wasn't
area.
it the Four Sisters? No, it was the Three Sisters. Hey, look, structured water. I bet it grows better than tap water. Forget this. Don't look over there. Look at the salad.
Yeah, that requires way more belief than looking at what's right in front of your eyes. It's all theory, of course. We're still working all this out, but I prefer the evidence over the stories. And not a lot. This place exists. It's not Dune. It's Teotihuacan, and it's in Mexico of Mercury. Mercury used to be used to convert AC signal to DC signal, like this arc rectifier used in elevators. So we have a pyramid encoded with celestial geometry, the geometry of consciousness, magnetic geometry, and materials that are used in modern electrical engineering. And here we are again at an ancient monument that reeks of some sort of component. It's weird, not because
it smells like some sort of component. Huh. What's that? Looks like it was where a nerve was. What do you got going here?
kinds of melting. Not only melting, but bending.
Nah. Body parts, body parts. Hey, those are body parts. I had it pulled up twice. Let's just clean this up. Twin Peaks Tunnel, I think it's fake. I was all over Los Angeles, though, right? In this video. Besides, I was like, going like, don't you get mad, Shelly, at the short season. We're mad at you. At least I am. Now I'm all about, because I was in that area, you know, LA. They found these things. They had to repopulate these areas because they got some splaining to do. We got to figure it out. What's that a picture of? What's it? What happened over here? What's going on down there? Is that a shadow? Could be a weird shadow. The other side is so plain. This is the west side. I'm going to go back just a couple of pictures. That's the east side. Now replaced in 67. Did they just dress this up? Put a year on it, say we decided to go through the, what is that? Less than 10 years after the big earthquake. They're going to trust that soil. Let's go 2 miles into the crappy soil by the San Andreas Fault. I don't know where the San Andreas Fault is compared to that. Look at that. Here's the west portal. and now exiting the eastern portal. They had it working for a little while in 82. What a junkie. Hey, look, free weed in California. Just go pick it. They might appreciate it. It's free weed. Oh, no. 40,000 people had to have it. Had to have it. Planned it, built it. There it is. 2.25 mile. I don't remember how I got here, but the Stalins money-making machines came to Nova Scotia from France, and they built something called the Electric City. They had telephones way before everybody else. They called it the Electric City. But then he wanted to go home. His wife died, and she was the heart and soul of their little utopia there. Man. And they were making it. They were making money selling lumber in Electric Town. What? No pictures of Electric Town? A map that shows it in the middle? And they can show you incorrect and correct. Okay. Wow. Well, hey, look, here's where Digby. So it's a utopia in the middle of nowhere in Digby, named in honor of Robert Digby. Dispatched the Atlanta 14-gun. Looks like the Nina and the Pinta, not the Santa Maria. That was a little bit bigger with its big red cross flopping in the breeze. Anything about Electric Town? Nothing? It's Electric Town, man, and they don't care. Digby? Nothing? That's the museum? They made it for 30 years in the middle of nowhere selling rare lumber, living like kings until the lady died and he got sad and went home. Huh. So anyway, they mentioned this guy as one of the people that Tesla was studying the sound waves with. He was so smart and everybody loved him. He was the monk, enlightened, Knights Templar. It was him. He started developing blonde hair, blue-eyed Aryanism and lower racism. That was only 1899. He leaves it and says, no, I've got to go be full-blown Aryan nation. I'm called to end up, Eve's getting raped and giving birth to lower race demon clowns. Probably, I don't know. Look, but he had 100,000 subscribers. Everybody loved him. That was anybody in the MK Ultra world of, like the Adolf, Saddam Hussein, Maduro, now the guy recently kidnapped from Venezuela. They all thought they were going to be great friends forever, but no, it doesn't work like that. I don't know why people going to want to believe it. Maybe they let it work for some people. Did it work for Justin Bieber? Why'd he jump into my mind? Hey, that's a Roman Catholic swastika from 1907. That guy did it. Lebensfield. Let's read this Bible verse. The awesome name. See, I got there. Repute, Ezekiel. The fearful name, the Lord. Don't go blaspheming the name of the Lord. You catch the women, or they're men of renown. Huh. Out of, you see what I'm highlighting there? I hope I'm sharing the screen. I am, good. Because if I wasn't sharing the screen, you wouldn't see what I just said. That's like not very high percentage of a solid root word. I wouldn't call it a strong, you know, there's something holding it back right there. Does that look like the rest of the words? It's a name. They knew it meant name. But it is the fearful and wonderful name. You know, nobody knows the real name of God. We get Eloha, Eliad, Yahweh, Jesus Christ. But there's a word for it. It has over 800 uses, and it's, you know, the name of a river. It's the name of men of renown. It's the name of a city. It just means name. They were the men that had a name for themselves, because as you scroll down here, you know, the great and holy God had a name, you know, your great name. Make it a blessing. So there's that. I got Deuteronomy 28:28. This is from the other night too. Ooh, wow. Verse 56, the most tender and refined woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because she's so delicate and tender, will begrudge to the husband she embraces, to the son, to her daughter, her afterbirth that comes out from between her feet and her children whom she bears, because lacking everything, she will eat them secretly in the siege and in the distress. When your enemy shall distress you in your towns, probably implying that means like when your ATM won't work, and then everybody has like got all of the toilet paper, and then they got the milk and the bread too. Hey, men, don't think you're off the hook. The man who's the most tender and refined, same thing, except guess what? You're going to be cooking and eating your children. He's not going to want to share it with the wife, the beautiful wife of his youth. And you don't want to be in the city, but for some of you, it's too late. You thought, I don't want to debate. I don't want to talk about doctrine. I'm only worried about who's a hunter, who's not a hunter. Okay, Nimrod was a hunter. He was a hunter. In Genesis 25, Esau was a cunning hunter. They hunt the game. It's always hunting game. It's a venison. He was a hunter. He's a game boy. Do you see anything where he was a great hunter of souls? It meant that he was a hunter of souls. Where? Por favor. Please tell me where you're getting that it's anything ever except food. Where do you mean he was a mighty hunter of souls? I have two words. Stop it. I sound like Erica Kirk. Did you see it? Did you get it? Stop it. Just stop. Loathsome abomination. I don't get it. Why are the first time here we're getting it? Shepherd is loathsome. Out of the 26 times the tuaba is used, they're going to go, tell the Egyptians that you're shepherds and they'll send you somewhere far away because they like me. That's Joseph talking. I'm number 2 man around here, baby. You pretend you're abominations, and then you can go get 2 million people and maybe we'll take over the world. Oh no, they're killing our boys. Well, you know, I'm open for any help on this one. You shall say, your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth, even until now, both we and our fathers, in order that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination. And there's an abomination that makes desolate. We talk about it all the time. I'm going to close out by looking at this. I just don't have the thing here. So there is a Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. It could be good, could be bad. It's been tweaked. It's been tweaked, but they're supposed to be giving back the things they stole and are trying to hide the truth from, or they could go to jail forever and ever. So the people are scrambling, you know. This is still on display in 2007. I showed this picture earlier because I'm fascinated by this thing. Isn't that something? Look at that pottery. That is unbelievable. And this is iron. They had iron. Knives, metal. They could do metal. Huh. So they're pretty strict about it. But unfortunately, nobody's doing it. They're supposed to, but from what I can understand, they're not sending it back. But you know, they have these buildings. They had to say they're doing something there. So they're explaining away how come all these kids were forced to learn a different language, or they killed them. What is the Siloam inscription? I think this is fake. This is the only piece of evidence, and they say this is real writing. They say these letters are on this rock, and it's the only thing in what they call modern Israel. Of all the artifacts in all the area, they say we got one artifact, and it references King Hezekiah. That looks fake as baloney. I'd rather have some baloney from what I heard. And look, they got, oh, a TIFF? No way. But they've got it perfectly, and it is everything they need. And it kind of looks like that fake Ogham in a way. But they can read it. It's not one that we puzzle over. They've got it covered where you can't see the letters, but why didn't this letter keep going down? If there's a big line here, or do we just trust them? There's not a line here. This line doesn't extend out to here. I think it's fake. I don't think there's any proof that this, I think it's faked. That looks like something that would be fake. This doesn't look fake. This looks real. I guess they just go on and on and on about, look, if you owe this guy the money, pay him the money. I paid him the money. Civil cases, but they have laws. And this is a very famous person, I gather. The king of Assyria that's mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, they got Star Fort, baby. What are you doing in my Star Fort? Time to go. So they got real artifacts and fake artifacts. They had a picture of one of them, and this is a real thing they found. I don't know, are these the sea people? The Bible talks about they bought horses and chariots from Egypt, but they didn't buy books on how to be good shepherds. But you needed if back in the day, there was a lot of raiding, go get the gold from those people, steal it. Not sure if this is limestone or not. But here's where's one of those? I thought I saw a chariot. $600, $200 for a horse. Yikes! Maybe that's Jehu getting. There's a few people that got recorded dying in there, and then the famous Cyrus cylinder that mentions, confirms the book of Jeremiah. Standard square close up. He found it. 1879. Huh. Yes, you can read that. These are the guys that wear the watches, the Babylonians, the Medes, and the Persians. After King David, they had three kingdoms that took over, and they had laws that had to agree. Two of the kings fully endorsed the God of the Hebrews, not the Hebrews, the God of the Hebrews. Does it talk? And this is in Tehran. We're at war with that country right now. But the cylinder actually mentions that he frees the king of the Hebrews and recognizes, okay, you were not the bad guy, and you're going to be able to, since you are a king, and I have found out that your God is the true God, you're going to be good to go. You can come to my dinner. I'm going to give you an allowance so that you and your children will be happy. And perhaps he thought God would bless him. Now, in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 25th day of the month, Evil-Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, graciously freed Jehoiachin, king of Judah, and brought him out of prison. And he spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat above the kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiakim put off his prison garments, and every day of his life he dined regularly at the king's table. And for his allowance, a regular allowance was given him by the king according to his daily needs until the day of his death, as long as he lived. Well, how about that? What's this? There's a church ministry among Jewish people since 1809. The Reset Illuminati started that early, and it was Protestant, so-called Protestant, if you want to believe that. Sort of these people that were also moral and good, free the slaves. Yeah, right. Huh. The ministry among Jewish people, 1805. Early started getting in on it, didn't they? Right in from the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, Susquehannock. I just wanted to make sure I showed that picture and these beads. there are new rules and old rules. You know, I always pick on the just, like, don't say it just happened, because the technical word just means it was a just decision from a just God, or something just happened just now. It's not like, I just want to say one more thing. It's like when I was talking about Shelley earlier, I didn't want to get hyper into, like, you mean you're done tiptoeing around short seasonism, or you're finished with it? Because they really are, since the second half of the 1800s, been forced into our lexicon. Most people don't know it. I've studied, I have like 30 credits in the grammar, the English, the everything, the short stories, blah, 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 blah. And I would not recommend it. I would do the homeschool thing. Anyway, that's what I got for tonight. Everything's going. Friday is the full moon, and is it the first or the? I don't know. Thanks for leaving some comments. Full-blown North Pole activators right there. Burdock root changed his life. I'm a witness to that. I actually, if you ever wonder how the old man, because Luther is like, he says he's 60, but he's like 114, and he still does that roofing, carrying up those 80-pound shingles like you carry up a sandwich in your back pocket. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Don't let your orphan trained brain keep you down. God has many people called. You want to make sure you're chosen. Don't get blotted out of the book of life. Hold on. Me and my friends never going to tell you anything else. We know we're called, chosen, predestined, elected. Seemed like we made our own choice when we believed that he rose from the dead and we confessed with our mouth. It's a long, hard, complicated book. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Afirase. Nakaman. Adios, amigos, from the border of southern Colorado and New Mexico. That's how the poet prophet likes to say goodbye.